Hello everybody, welcome to another true review. Today I'm bringing you Steredenn on the Xbox One. It's a traditional side-scrolling shooter, much like your classic games such as R-Type, but this one's a roguelike. You literally have one life. You have an energy bar which you can take a varying amounts of hits depending on what hits you, but that's it. One life, you die, you start again from the beginning of the game. And I've never come across that in a shoot 'em up before, and it kind of works. It makes the game really challenging. I've always had a personal like for shoot 'em ups where when you get hit, it doesn't reset the game, reset the game backwards, because those shoot 'em ups always tend to have one common problem, that once you become powered down, you're pretty much dead in the water. You've literally got to do the games with almost one life. If you lose your weapon, that's it. But on this, you can take a number of hits for your energy bar, and you obviously keep your weapons in because of that. Now, the game's pretty short. There's only 7 levels to the game, and some of the levels can be cleared in as little as 2 to 5 minutes. So it's a pretty quick fire game, but it does loop around. The game doesn't actually end when you complete it. Not that I have actually completed it, because the game kicks my ass once I get past level 4, unfortunately. Now, the enemy types are a little bit basic for my liking. They're a little bit bland, and that's probably my major criticism with the game. The enemy types as a whole don't tend to have an awful lot of variety, especially the bosses as well, because usually in a shoot 'em up the bosses are the highlight of the game, and the bosses just generally seem to be a little bit bland and just to be larger versions of the normal kind of enemies. But what can be said about the bosses, their attack patterns are absolutely fantastic. The attacks spray bullets all over the place. They do charge attacks at you, massive beam lasers, ones that fire bullets in spirals, you name it. This game's got it for attack patterns for bosses. Just a shame that the graphical look of the bosses didn't match their creativity in their attack patterns. Now, you play as a lone ship, as you generally do in these kind of games, and you have a massive arrangement of weapons to actually collect. Now, these are randomly dropped by cargo freighters, which is a general kind of staple for these kind of games. And a bit differently, you have to actually hold the Y button down to pick the item up, which is good because you don't accidentally pick up a weapon you don't want. But on the minus side of things, it doesn't help you when you've got to quickly decide what kind of weapon it is, because all the weapon icons are the same. The same kind of dual icon, but they're in different colours, and the different colours simply reflects the type of weapon it is, like yellow for bullet weapons, blue for I think it's energy weapons, red is heavy weapons, for example, and there's a number of others as well. Purple, I think, or grey is bot weapons. When you go over the dual, it actually comes up in text what the weapon is. But obviously in a shoot 'em up as frenetic as this, you haven't really got time to study and read it. You've got to make a split-second decision, so it would have been nice to have some graphical differences for each of the weapon pickups. And in terms of the weapon pickups, there's an awful lot of weapons as well. There's a good selection for each type of weapon, and that is kind of a little bit of detriment as well. You can always have too many weapons, and I think that's probably why they went down the route of just using a coloured icon for each weapon type, because there are simply too many weapons to actually maybe make a separate icon for. But it's a little bit off-putting when you have to quickly go over the icon and read what it is, because if you'd have known it was this weapon called a jaw, which is like a giant clenching set of teeth, and it's absolute garbage in my opinion, but you don't know it's that weapon till you fly over to the icon, so you probably put yourself in danger to try and get that weapon, because it could be something really good. But because there's no differentiating between the weapon it will be, because this type it's a grey jewel. The grey jewel encompasses probably a selection of about 5 or 6 different weapons. So you go over to it, it's the jaw, you don't want it, you've put yourself in danger, maybe took a few hits getting the weapon, and then you just wasted your time basically because you don't want it in the first place. If it had a separate weapon icon, then that would have been better. Graphically, it's in a nice pixelated style, classic, old school, and it works really well. And I think the only thing that lets it down graphically is the variety in the enemy types. They're all very drab and grey, which is a bit of a shame really, because the backgrounds and the space scenes that you actually fly through are very colourful. Sound wise, it's got a nice kind of techno thumping space soundtrack. Nothing fantastic, but it does a job, and the sound effects of you shooting enemies is very satisfying as well. Achievement wise, it's a pretty standard list. There's funds for killing X amount of enemies up to a maximum of 10,000, which may be a little bit too many in my opinion, but that's for obviously you to make your mind up if that's too many to go for. As a whole, the rest of them are just for collecting all the weapons, using all the weapons at least once, killing certain enemies with certain weapons, and the one that's going to pose the biggest challenge is to complete the level only using the blaster, which is the default weapon. So yeah, very impressive title. I think it's $12.99 in terms of US dollars on the marketplace. It comes out the 1st of April, probably equates to about £10 in the UK pricing. And really enjoyed it, even though it is kicking my ass a little bit. But yeah, I'm going to give Steredenn a great 7 out of 10. It's a good solid shooter, and if you like this kind of game, you'll certainly get some enjoyment out of this, and the rogue-like nature of it is pretty unique for a game of this type. So yeah, fantastic stuff. So I hope you enjoyed that review. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe, and do follow me on my various social media pages. It does help me build the channel and get these reviews to you as quickly as possible. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next review.